Everybody, welcome back. This is Jason Hardy with barbecue. I'm sorry, this is Jason Hardy with Elite Barbecue Smokers. This is Barbecue Round Table. We're getting ready to bring everybody on, get everything live. We're trying to get live right now on Instagram, and we are a go, ladies and gentlemen. So let me bring up our guests and let's get this party started. All right, introduce yourself.
So I am Jay Craig, Outlaw Barbecue Smokers, uh, Mentone, Indiana. We kind of, some of you guys probably been hanging around the barbecue world for a while, know us or have heard about us anyway. Uh, we're just we're just having fun and loving what we do and hanging out with people that cook good barbecue or bad barbecue even. It don't matter. We're all kind of part on the same squad. And yeah, so we entered this scene in 2000. I want to say we started building the first stick burner in 16. So it was done like the end of 17. Took that long to get that first one done. Uh, then, we just kind of kept going from there and listening to y'all cooks that are professionals and know what you're doing and tweaked, and we kind of took care of the science behind it, I feel, but listen to you guys on what you need and what you want and kind of everything that goes into a competition. And since then have kind of got a y'all know how that is. You get a taste of that, you smell that blood, and you want to go cook comp barbecue. So now that's one of those things that's kind of in my blood too, that I really enjoy to do. Don't get to do it as much as I would like to, but that's okay. It's balance and family and work and all that stuff, and I get a good taste of it and just rub enough elbows with y'all to kind of hear what's going on and see what's needed out there, and that's my jam. It's I love I love to figure out how to change a category or cook something different, but at the end of the day, it's all about kind of listening to what you guys are doing, adapting our pits or offering options so you guys can do what you want to do.
So, kind of I know you got into cooking, building smokers and stuff here, but kind of where'd you get the passion for cooking at? Because you had to have a passion to start cooking and start building smokers. So, kind of what was your first smokers and where'd you
Yeah,
get the passion for that?
yeah, and I think that's one of those things that every single person tuned in tonight or listening can relate to, because if we're cooking barbecue, we probably like to entertain, we probably like to keep people happy, we probably like to just bring people together, and that's what barbecue's all about. Like, bottom line, that's what it's about, and so you take all that happiness and joy that you get by giving, and then you take it into, like, once again, everybody listening's a little bit competitive, and it's like, well, I can cook ribs better than you can, so all that stuff comes together, and the next thing you know, it's like, hey, let's throw down, like, let's see who can do what and where and when, and then you realize there's this whole big world out there of competition barbecue that, like, we are all at we're so far ahead of a lot of people that are just starting to cook and doing these things that, it's that's the cool thing to me about barbecue. It's just, I feel like we all started on common grounds, whether you're a pit builder, whether you're a cook, whether you're making videos showing how to cook, any of that. Like, we all cook because we like to cook, we like to bring people together, we like to be happy, and that's what it all starts. That's how it starts, basically.
Somebody was asking me, this past weekend here, why I like to cook so much. I said, because I deal with work all the time and it's stressful. It's a lot of times I'm saying no to people, whatever else. But when I'm cooking food and I give you somebody food and it's good food, they're going to smile. They're not going to be mad at me because it's good food. And that's what I
Right.
love about it, because it's smiles, it's happiness, it's going around to people saying, was it good food? And just to look in their eyes like, oh my God, it's the best thing I ever had. That just kind of makes it all
Yeah.
worthwhile. It's all the work.
Right. Right. Yep. And I think that's how we all got to where we're at. I agree with
Corbett
you.
right here put a barbecue therapy. That's probably a really good word
Therapy.
for that. Barbecue
Therapy. Yep.
therapy.
Yep. I like it.
Um, but I mean, and that's the thing about it out here is we just started doing it. But back to the question, what was your first smoker that you cooked on? Not that you built, that you actually cooked on.
So, man, I would like you're going way back. So, like I'm thinking I like cook hot dogs on a gas grill and wondered if they'd stick. Do I need to shoot it with a little Pam or whatever? But no, I cut my teeth probably like a lot of us did on a Weber kettle.
Yep.
And I tell everybody, like, people will call because I feel like really, um, when we came out and when we started and we started getting momentum, and people were just intimidated by a stick burner. Um,
Yep.
I really feel that way, and I would tell people, Have you ever cooked on a Weber kettle?" Yeah, of course, everybody nine out of 10, yeah. Can you get it? Like, can you? Yeah, I'm like, trust me, the Outlaw. If you can cook on a kettle, Weber kettle, you can cook on an Outlaw. Promise. Like it, you know. But anyway, so yeah, I cut my teeth on a Weber kettle, and then I made a couple drums. And so when I was like getting into all this, I've got kids. They're busy in sports, crazy, like going here, going there. So I made a drum when I bought the little battery powered Guru or whatever it was,
Yep.
and I'd throw a pork butt on. We'd leave in the morning, go to a baseball tournament or basketball tournament, whatever it was that weekend, and we'd come back, and I kind of had that down to a science where that stuff would be done. And and at the time it was great barbecue, like it doesn't matter, everybody enjoyed it. So that's kind of where it started, and then I made a big kind of like vertical stick burner, I guess you'd call it, and it was like, man, this we I can do better than this. So kind of, one thing led to another, and here we are. It's like just got freaking losing sleep. Like, can't I if I do this, if I do that, if I change it's just never ending, So anyway, that kind of led to even heat and learning about what a fire does to the heat from one end to the other. And a lot of that stuff kind of did on our own. And so we kind of developed the throat, the exhaust, the heat, the bar, like all that stuff. And then it was easy because we put that pit out there, and it was working, right? But
Yep.
we didn't know crap about competition barbecue, so we just started listening to people and observing, and they kind of paved the path from there. Like, as far as the little odds and ends we do, whether it's, I mean, little things. We tweak our pits to match the competition guy. They want to sleep. They want to wake up. A lot of them want to manage one fire, not multiple. They want to just get that stuff done. And then at the end of the day, you gotta cook good barbecue, right? That's
Yep.
what everybody's there for, in the competition world. So, and that's it's let's be the best, or let's lay with the rest. And it's like, let's just go all in. And from a business standpoint, maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm here because I'm passionate about it, and I love to see teams use our pits and win and do good. And I love to talk to them and listen to them. And I'd rather be, where we're at than 5 steps back, but making twice the amount of pits, because at the end of the day, you know, it it doesn't really add up that way.
Well, I mean, with the barbecue, the competition, this building smokers and stuff here, when I started, my goal was getting competition barbecue and sell my smokers I was building. So that's what
Yep.
I intended to do. What I found out is I'm a one man show, so it's just not feasible. But I enjoyed the whole camaraderie ship, the competition side of it, and doing that. And so I had to make a choice that barbecue is barbecue for passion. We go to Disney World, we're gonna spend a bunch of money to go to Disney World. We go vacation, spend a bunch of money on
Right.
vacation. So if I enjoy this, then this is my barbecue therapy, as Corbett said. So it's hard to explain that to somebody that's not into
Right.
this,
Right.
but when you into it, it makes a lot more sense. Um,
Yep.
so
Yep.
when you
Yep.
started kind of getting into the science of the smoke a minute, all right, whenever I was looking at kind of building smokers, I had to kind of start doing the science as far as intake cold air, outtake hot air, and how big a difference that is in the way air flows. So I know Outlaw Smokers has a very consistent smoke, consistent cook, consistent products across the board. So when y'all started doing that, that's the science you were talking about earlier, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yep, yeah. You
Yeah,
want me to elaborate on that?
kind of go in a little detail about it. If somebody out there is kind of wanting to understand the science behind the smoke of that.
Yeah, so and it's one of those things that so it kind of hit me the other day. I was looking at one of my buddies. I was down in Memphis the other day, and Mark Williams has and he's getting into this making espresso coffee, right? Like the
Yep.
the little machine, and you do like you measure it out and you tamp it down and you do all that, right? So so that thing will make good coffee, and he kind of can tweak it a little with his machine, Then you got like Nespresso machines where you just push the thing in, push the button, and it'll make good coffee. And then you have the ones that are like out of this world that you can control everything and like all the way through. So I hope I'm not going off on a tangent here, but
No, go ahead.
so it's like when we were when we were testing this stuff, it was like so you can make an outlaw run dead even across the grates from one end to the other. When I say dead even, I'm talking a couple 2-3 degrees Fahrenheit. You're not going to cook like that because that's like impossible. You're managing the fire too much. You're doing too much crazy stuff. So what happens is you learn as a cook. Like so, one of the things I always love to say is it's barbecue. Like it's done when it's done, and when you repeat the same process over and over, you for the most part get the same result.
Yep.
So like I feel like with our pit, I so I could show you or anyone I feel like how to run that same temp all the way across. It's just not feasible because it's it's a it's a stick burner, right? It's top flow. You got exhaust. You got you got all these like fluid dynamics going on. So when that airflow is slamming through and going across, and you pinch the damper down, you're going to start to back up. So you get a little radiant from the firebox side, but the big thing that happens is on the exhaust side, you start building that heat back. So you get a little hotter on the exhaust side, but it doesn't matter. Like just cook your barbecue, be consistent, and then you want to add smoke. If you run a really hot, clean fire, and I mean like super hot with your damper down, it'll the pit will run so clean that you really won't infuse any smoke. So you got to back that fire size down. So you want to run a small hot fire, and your exhaust not all the way pinched, but open a little, and let that flow go, and then you kind of go from there. And then if you want to add more smoke yet, you kind of like it. There's no rules, right? Like so you can add a stick and put it off to the side, let it smolder. A lot of guys freak out. I hear people like, oh man, it started huffing and puff. That's okay. Like that's fine. I don't worry about that. I like that. And sometimes I even try to really do that as a competition cook. When I'm cooking, when I like set sauce and stuff, I'll close the whole pit down and just freaking let it bellow out the doors and everything else because that's what I want. I want to infuse a little bit of that smoke. So it's one of those things that it's like I guess I felt like make a pit that can run consistent across from one end to the other. Make it so it can run clean. Make it so it's easy to maintain and manage temperature and fire control, and then we'll let you all professionals at that, especially like you, all you got to do is shut up and listen because you guys will tell us what you need and what you want. And I feel like pretty much right out of the gate, our pit allowed you to do that. Um, so that was cool. But then like I said, we've added other stuff because I honestly didn't know like this competition barbecue is crazy, right? Like you're splitting freaking hairs, and I had no
Yeah.
idea about that. It's like, but now that we've been around a while and look and listen, it just things kind of fall into place.
And that's the thing about it is, like you said earlier, when you got a smoker that's running consistent, and you got that smoker, you learn what that smoker wants to do. Now you can tweak it. Now you can kind of make it do different things here, but you can't do the drastic things to it. You got to
Right,
allow it to do what it wants to do, and then you can
right,
tweak it one way or the other to kind of get it to fit your cook cycle. So what you were talking about earlier is that because people out here is not competition cooks, and there's not that many not competition cooks watching the show right now. But the
Yeah.
whole thing is when you cooking, you want to you want your temperature to be level. But when you're doing a stick burner, you put butts on one side and you start putting meat in there, you create this airflow, this waves. And so you
Yes.
got to take in consideration that if you put the butts on the one side, you put trying to put the brisket, I mean the ribs behind it, the ribs are not getting that airflow across the top of them like they would if they were first. They're also not getting that heat. So there's some
Right.
different things you work on when you start trying to play with the smokers and learn how that smoker works. That's going to
Exactly.
truly allow you to kind of get it dialed in like you want it to do. And one of the biggest things is repetition.
Right. Right. Nope. Yep. I agree. And so, the thing is, like, man, you can cook. I've cooked great ribs on all kinds of smokers. I've cooked great, but the consistency of, so like, I've probably got, I don't know. I even hate to admit how many different smokers I got. I love to cook, right? So that's okay. So, but it's like if I want to cook a half chicken on just one thing, it may be I'll fire this up or that up or whatever. But if I want to cook like all four basically, or I want to cook something like the absolute best I can, I'm firing my outlaw up. And once again, sometimes I'm cooking to feed my family, and
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time, so that's okay. I'll fire the old hickory or my pellet up, or whatever. And if I'm cooking whatever, I get Blackstone. It just depends on what you're doing. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you want to really like, so it's a craft. It's one of those things that we're all passionate about, and and I've said, like, I feel like all roads end at a stick burner. And I'm not taking anything away from pellet guys or drum guys, or I'm not taking anything away. I don't want anybody to take that from this. But when you get a stick burner that works the way it should, and you can, like, it's endless, right? You can do whatever, especially with the heights. We've got microwave shelves. We've got what we call the revolver, which you can move up and down. It's just endless. So you figure out you can do absolutely everything on one pit if you want, you know. But
Yep.
once again, not to take away from other smokers, because hell, I've got them all. It's like, and they've all got their place, and I love them. I want to, I love to use. I don't know that I probably use an outlaw more than all the others combined, but it's also, it just depends on what you're doing. And so when we're just talking backyard barbecue, what I would say is, if you want to, if you're really into it, and you want to get to that next level, an outlaw patio, for example, might be like it, but not everybody's at that level. Plus, even our cheapest pits, like, I don't know, you're going to probably end up spending 4 grand, 5 grand on the art, and that's not for everybody, and that's okay. Like, but
Oh no,
yeah,
you don't want to be for everybody.
yeah,
I mean,
right. Well, you can't be,
it.
and it's like a lot of people say, well, make one that's not insulated and make one like, yeah, we don't need to make the most, but, and when, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I really honestly feel at the end of the day, we make the best, or at least we try to make the best pit that we can, hands down, bar down, and we'll leave it at that, and we'll, we'll give
So,
it.
kind of one of the questions you just kind of bring up here is the difference between a competition cooker, a smoker, barbecue, whatever, and a backyard smoker.
Yep.
Um, and when we talk about backyard smokers, a lot of times what we're normally thinking is stuff you get from a local hardware store.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between that quality product and what you're getting from competition quality product as far as what Outlaw Smokers is. And one of the biggest differences in that is that I see in that is not necessarily the cook chamber. Because the cook chamber, yes, you got science, you got a lot of information into it, but the biggest difference is actually in the firebox itself.
Oh,
And a
you
lot of people go
you
ahead.
absolutely nailed that. You are, yeah, you couldn't be more correct. Yes, I agree.
And so,
Because it's
go
like the firebox is like it's like a heat reservoir. So our fireboxes are oversized and they're insulated. So they're holding all that heat. And your cook chamber, you don't you don't want to be you don't want to be too insulated, or if you get too much on the backside, and it's kind of like a drum. It's like
yeah,
if drums were insulated, they wouldn't work with the shit. because like you got to be moving air, right? You got to be
Yes.
cranking that shit through there. You got to build bark. You got to do all this stuff, and you've got to get airflow. So yeah, you're exactly right. And the thing is, when people take like, and that's the worst thing probably as a stick burner we got going for us, stick burner builder, is people will go to Lowe's or whatever and buy these 85 $120 pits. Good God. And that's why I say, if you can run a Weber, you can run an Outlaw. If you can run a freaking $80 stick burner, you can probably design a freaking airplane to
Space.
fly to the moon, dude. Because wow, I've tried it and it's like I, I don't hell I struggle with it. I don't even know how. Yeah, yeah, they're a nightmare. But
It's and that's the thing about it is, and just on the YouTube world out here and seeing different people that's got different smokers and doing different things. And I'm sitting there and I got one I built myself, but it's a big beast. But anyhow, and I'm sitting there going like, I can cook an entire damn smoker full of it and use a milk crate full of wood.
yeah,
And there's no way in the world that them guys can sit there and have any type of consistency with a non-insulated firebox. You just can't do it. I've tried it. Am I
right.
right?
Well, so you are, but I mean, when it's just when you go non-insulated, there's so many of all the other variables come in, right? Like so, you've got the ambient temperature, you've got the rain, you've got the snow, you've got whatever, and everything's coming into effect. But so to me, if you can't have a heat reservoir, right, where
Hmm.
so on an Outlaw, I would almost bet that if you open that exhaust damper, and you watch that, you can literally watch that dial. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like you can say you can't do that with anything else, right? And
Correct.
and and so the reason I say that is because we've got that reservoir, right? And so it's holding there, and it's ready to go. When you want it, but you don't want to get your fire too hot because you burn all your smoke. And there's a whole lot that just takes a long time to kind of figure out every little detail. But it's yeah, you're right. You're just gonna struggle, and yeah, that is the most important part of the whole thing. Now, there's the way and the size that the throat comes in and all that stuff. If you get too big, and I call it loose, and lots of times I I kind of lose people, but we've got like some pits are looser than others, some pits are tighter. So when I say loose, like a loose pit will be easy to run like at 400, 425 degrees. But which is great, you can dampen it down, but sometimes you're loose enough and you're burning hot enough that you're not really imparting any smoke in your proteins. So not that you definitely don't want to over smoke, and that's the big thing with competition barbecue, in my
Yep.
opinion. And that's the thing with our pit, I feel, or maybe some other stick burners, is I can control how much smoke I put on that meat. I can put literally nada, like wow, I don't even taste it. Or once you get going, it's like if I just burn a normal fire, I'm going to get this much, and my damper needs to be about 45 degrees. I'm getting pretty good smoke, and it's like, man, I was burning a little hot today, and I feel like I might need a little more. Well, that's okay. Add it in the last 10 minutes or 5 minutes, or we all know in competition barbecue, for the most part, I feel like we all go into that last 30 minutes pretty much tied, right? Like we've
Yes.
all cooked enough. You assume we're all tender. So it's those things. And then on a backyard pit, if you're, cooking on a patio or whatever, and you just kind of learn that. And once you kind of get that concept and get your mind wrapped around that, the sky's the limit because there's nothing you cannot do. More smoke, less smoke, tenderness, and I think there's a whole thing about the hot and fast, which I consider us hot and fast. There's a whole lot hotter and faster methods too, but when you can do a hot and fast method without imparting too much smoke or getting too much bark and allowing the proteins to get to a certain point before you wrap, it's just a blank canvas. You know, as a cook, you can figure it out, and guys do it. You know, um, and that's the beauty of it, in my opinion.
So one of the biggest differences was kind of talking about earlier was the firebox, and what that actually kind of relates to is the consistency. So when you start doing a competition cook, when you start doing competition outlaw smokers out here, your whole goal is to be consistent. If I can control the heat in the firebox reservoir, I can control my air damper, I can repeat stuff. Now I can fine tune my recipes. When you're that patio model that you've got, it's even it's an insulated firebox model and stuff here, and you comparing that to a, a a box store brand out here, you can be consistent on this at home because you can control everything about that smoker. On one that is not insulated, when you have issues with, it's hard to control those factors, and that's when you get the inconsistency in there, and that's when you basically pull your hair out your head. Correct?
Well, right, and I agree, and so once again, not that you can't on any given day take that non-insulated and make good barbecue, right?
Yes.
But it's the thing, like, you know, when you're whatever, it doesn't matter. It's your family coming over. You want to impress, right? Like we all,
Yep.
once again, let's go back to our roots. That's where we started. It's the judges and me looking over at Jason Hardy beside me, you know, and you like Brian Corbett on this side, and it's like shit, dude. I got to be on my game, right? Like, I mean, we're splitting hairs here, and there's hairs to be split, and that's the beauty of competition barbecue. Um, but so to be able to do the same thing over and over and not like hit it 2 out of 10 times or 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, that doesn't work, right? Like
Right.
that won't cut it. So you know we've got to be able, and you know honestly, I would not care if you said I got to go out. So I'm in Indiana, right? It's colder than shit here. Um, I can go out in August. I can go out in September when it's 90, 100. I can go out in January when it's 15 below. I, I don't care. Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. And with our intake, the way we bring air into our pits, I, I don't care. Like, I can cook as good a barbecue in January or February with our firebox as I can in August or September.
And that's one of the things we're talking about with the science of smoke. When you start looking at these smokers and start looking at the way he's designed them and the way the outlaws have been engineered for the cold air to come in and able to kind of get through the heat and come into the firebox hot, it's a different world. Some when you build one at home, when I was building my first stick burner here at the house, I didn't know that information. And so I had air coming in cold and it was getting to my firebox cold because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand the dynamics of it until I started doing it and started kind of researching it through trial and error. Because I remember the first one I built was out of propane tank, and I done a contest here, local contest, whatever, and it was cold and it was raining, it was snowing, and in South Carolina, snowing was like a big deal. So
Yeah.
we're out here doing it, and I run out of wood. And I told my buddy of mine it was like cold out there. I'm freezing running this firebox. I'm like every 5 minutes throwing wood in there. And I said, this is the last time I ever cook a contest without an insulated firebox
Yeah.
because I couldn't. There's so much out of my control here. I was just sitting there, just I was, man, there's no way I could do a good competition on that. So that's kind of the things about it is a lot of pieces go into it that makes the science behind your smoke, the science behind your smokers allows you to give that smoke that flavor into it. Then now as a competition guy, we can tweak on, and even your
Right.
patio models have that.
Right, right. Yep. So yeah, they're all pretty much the same. And then, you know, once again, if you go into different smokers, it's like some of them, you know, you can burn a hot clean fire and they're not insulated, but it's like kind of more of a direct heat, so it's just going through. But like a stick burner, like I mean, you're coming over and you've got all this airflow, right? Like so that's all a whole science within itself.
Yep.
So as long as you can like just, you know, you just focus on just stay in your lane, so to speak. Like I'm gonna look at this firebox and I've got this, you know, method I'm doing that I always do. Everybody's got a different fire. Nothing wrong with any one of them. You know, there's the
Yep.
greatest pit masters in the world, guys that win every freaking week. And they tell me how they do their fire, and I'm like, whoa, like wow, I don't, yeah, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter as long as you've got the fire there and you know and understand, how that flow is. You're good, and you can replicate what you do week in and week out, no matter what the weather circumstances are. And once again, I'll reiterate, like our intakes, whether it's a front load, side load, the only way we can get in trouble is with like a wind that's like hitting something and shooting down our exhaust, and that can like give us a little backdraft. But 99% of the time, we're sucking air in from underneath, or it's got to do some crazy. The fire will take what it wants. So,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter whether it's in your house, where it is. I mean, a lot of house fireplaces go like they have the intake basically go down under the floor and over. And so, when I was looking at that, then you look at all these other things, it's like if the fire's thirsty or hungry, it it'll draft, it'll do what it wants. You don't have to help it. And the last freaking thing you want to do is just open that up to exposed air to just create havoc on everything you're trying to do, which makes it
Yeah, I
easy
mean,
for a backyard cook, a competition cook, whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't have as a competition cook, you don't have to see what the weather's tomorrow. You don't have to see what the wind is. It doesn't matter. You're fine. It'll just build your fire and it'll suck in the air at once.
I mean, that's the thing about it is the smokers you build and the consistency you have, and each one is consistent, consistent, consistent. You've been able to take your system and tweak it to get the consistency that us as competition teams, that when we cooking on, we can trust on it. And that's one of the biggest things about it is that you've been able to do through your science of smoke is to have consistency across the board on your side. Now it's our turn to come out here and do it, because if I come in here and I tell you I'm running a smoker and I can't get it to do one thing I want it to do, but you got 50 other people that's doing exactly what they need to do, you can look at me saying, it ain't my fault, it's your fault. And that's one of
So,
the
so first of all, I would never say that,
well, I
but
know.
I will say, I don't know. I don't even know how many smokers, whatever. We'll say 1,000 smokers, whatever. There's been three people ever that have like called and said, "Hey, your smoker doesn't work. Like I can't get it to temp, or I can't control it, or it huffs, it puffs." Bullshit. Like it'll do what it needs to do. Like, I'll help you. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, you can show me. And one of the funny things is, and man, I bet this has happened a half a dozen times. And so so our patio is one door, right? So it's
Yes.
like we got two handles, but it's one door, and the thermometer is part of that door. So, you open that door and you're putting all your proteins in, and you're filling that thing up full of pork butts or whatever. And it's almost like one of those mic drops, or people are like, "Oh shit, I'm a dumbass," whatever. So they'll call and be like, "Man, I can't get this thing over 150 or 140." And I'm like, "All right, like walk." So anyway, anybody can call me anytime, weekends, whatever. For the most part, if I'm free, I'll answer. I- It's not a job. It's not work to me. I love it. Right. So
All right.
if any of y'all are listening to Have an Outlaw and you ever have any, call me. My number's on the website. But so I'll be like, "Show me your fire," and they'll show me the fire, and I'm like, "Man, it looks good." I'll think about it for a minute, and I'm like, "Okay, so like, show me your tent," and then we'll go back and forth, and I'll be like, "Okay, open that door and let me see again." And so we'll look, and I'm like, "Is your probe like smack dab in the center of that pork butt?" And it'll be like, "Shit, sorry, I didn't mean to bother you." You know what I mean? But it happens a lot. Like it's happened a lot. But it's one of those things. Like, yeah, if the outlaw will the only
All right, we lost your audio again, so back up a minute. All right, I lost your audio.
on my chicken timeline, like I've got it in there where like I'm building some coal bed on purpose, because when my chicken's not wrapped, I, I don't want to open the door. I don't want to add a stick. Every once in a while, you get that cantankerous stick it'll blow a little dirty smoke. It doesn't happen often, but you don't want that. You don't want dark chicken. You don't want, so, but other than that, I don't worry about a thing, And if people say
Yeah.
it's not working right, let's talk. Let's figure it out because, I feel like we've done our due diligence and we've got plenty of good, great cooks behind us that just have figured it out too.
Man, and that's the thing about it. You've got a great product here that's, like I said, consistency going on, great products and that you're using. And you got a lot of people that's falling in love with them because it's truly more and more people are starting to use them, and it's kind of become one of the, I would assume, one of the fastest growing pits out there for the competition guys,
Yeah.
because of the consistency. And one of the things that you do different than most other stick burners out there is yours is interchangeable parts. A lot
Hmm.
of times, a lot of people like myself, whenever I was actually doing this, I'm one guy show, like we said earlier, building smokers. So
Yeah.
there's no way in the world two parts can be exactly the same. I just don't have the equipment or whatever else for that. But yours is different. Yours is set up here so yours can be interchanged and changed out. So you got a consistency on your craftsmanship side of it that now you can relate to as a cook, can have a trust in that product being consistent, the same one across the board.
Yep. Yep. So, and that's like a lot of people have said, man, I've had 3 or 4 different stick burners and they're all different. They're all, something's an inch higher, inch lower. So with our shop, so we're a small shop in the world, but when it comes to smokers, sometimes you might think we're a bigger shop. You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys
Yeah.
build smokers are, like you said, so you know, we so like my day job, my 9 to 5 is like I go talk to customers, I see what they got, and I'm one of a few. So our shop has 55 employees, I think, and we've got a lot of great talent at our shop. But anyway, on a day to day, it's like, hey, we want a work center for this, or this is what we're facing. This is our dilemma. Like, how can we fix this? So we're kind of like a job lot shop, so to speak. So when somebody has an issue, so let's do this, let's design this, and they lean on us to not only just do the steel metalwork fabrication side of things, but maybe to know how much a beam will hold or how much hydraulic pressure you need on something or whatever. So building smokers was just kind of so it was something I'm passionate about and I love it, right? Like it's part of
Yep.
my job now. But, you know, when we started, like everything we do that's a little bit different. So our front load, for example, our front load firebox, that kind of started because of porch models, right? So I
Yep.
was young in the game in Indianapolis. I was at CCS Fest watching a guy, and he's on and off his trailer. I'm like, man, that's stupid. Like, what? And like once again, I'm just coming into this, and then one of my buddies, Bill Magerlin, Thunderhawk Barbecue, was like, "Why don't you build a front load?" And I'm like, "All right, So it's no different than just normal stuff we do every day. So you look at it. How do we do this? How do we do it better than everyone else? How do we not let the weather affect what we're making? How do we still allow the cooks to sleep till 5 or 6 a.m. and not worry and just like everything just go? So we kind of put all those things together, and then we got that done, and it works like a dream. And so now that's 90% of what we sell, and it's not obviously not just porch model. We don't Not a lot of guys buy porch models because not a lot of guys have porches. But every patio we make's a front load. So I guess where I'm going is when somebody wants something a little different, it's not a big deal. Like it's what we
Yep.
do day in, day out, all day long. So and it just works for everybody. Plus, I'm excited about it. So it makes it fun to do. So yeah.
But the thing about it is the trust that y'all have built with your consistency and craftsmanship is you can know that there's changes and tweaks you make, but it's not going to leave your shop if you don't feel confident it's going to deliver the end product that you're asking it to deliver. That's the whole ball game with that,
Right.
correct?
Correct. And so we get like, you know, so one thing I will not fudge on is our intake, our throat, and our exhaust. Like you can ask me to build
Yep.
anything, and I'll be receptive. But if you ask me to change that, you're kind of like you're kind of offended me a little bit, you know. Like it's like
Mhm.
dude, like I've been working hard on that, and I think we got that figured out. But everything else, and and we'll build it, but I won't build it unless I believe in it, you know. So there's and I catch a little hell for it once in a while. It's like, hey, do this, do this. It's like I'll try it, and I'll try it. And I'm like, I don't have conclusive evidence that I want to put my name on that. I'll build you one, you know,
Yep.
but I don't want to sell it because I'm either not offer it for sale. I'm I'm not confident in it yet, or I can't look at Jason Hardy and tell him why he should spend $95 or whatever on this little gizmo or gadget if I don't believe if I don't totally understand or believe it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's one of those things. I think you gotta believe in something. You know?
I mean, sometimes sometimes the best thing to do is say no, and because if you go here and you do something here, and next thing you know it's not what you wanted to do, it's gonna create problems, and that's something you don't want to have. I mean, I'm in the roofing business. I don't want
Right.
nobody's roof to leak. So if
Right.
somebody wants me to do something crazy, and I'm going to say, well, water don't go backwards. I
Yep.
mean, it ain't
Yep.
going to work. Then it's best for me to walk away from it because if not, I'm going to be dealing with it from now and 20 years and lawyers and everything else. Um,
Exactly.
I mean, that's just
Yeah.
that's the reality.
Yep.
So, and I know the products that y'all have, the quality of products you got is top notch, and therefore you've basically come into the market, you've come into the competition, you come into the backyard home people, and you saying, okay, here, listen. You want a good product you can rely on, you can trust, you can have deliver good products in and out. It doesn't matter if it's sunny outside and 75 degrees or if it's 30 degrees and blowing snow. It's gonna give you the same product. That's
Right.
a difference in a competition cooker or some little cheap backyard smoker. That's a difference.
Right.
And so anybody out there that's wanting to be part of this and cook at home, whatever else, is it going to cost more money on the front side? Absolutely. But what you'll save in wood and charcoal in the long run is going to be and it's going to be time and effort. It's going to be a gold mine in the future. And
Right.
that's the biggest thing about it. I tell
Yep.
everybody all the time, focus on quality.
Yep. Yep. And so you know that, and just like that, what you just said, it's always so you know the price up front, right? You know what that
Yep.
is. It so you don't have to apologize for that because you already knew that. And so the quality, you don't cut any corners, you know. But you can't apologize for bad quality, and we won't. But you know the price up front, we catch a lot of hell for that. But from the backyard people, oh my God, that's okay. Don't buy it, you know. But if you get it, I'll stand behind it. I'll guarantee you that, you know. So
So talking about that, so one of the last smokers I built, a guy come to me and I told him a price, and this was back, I don't know, 15 or 16. And he's like, man, that costs too much money. I said, all right, here you do. Here's what you need to do. Go buy you a welder, go buy you all the metal, go pay somebody to break your metal, go home and buy all that gas stuff you got to weld it, and all your hours you're gonna do it $5 an hour, and you add all up and you tell me I'm not cheaper than what you're going to spend it.
right,
If you tell
right,
me that I'm not, then God bless you. But I
right.
guarantee you it ain't gonna happen.
It ain't right, and you're right. Apologize for price, not quality, all day long, every day. You know,
I mean,
that's the only way to look at it, and you're exactly right.
because it's just it takes the pride you put in building your products, and I've seen your products, and I've seen the quality you put in your products. It's just like, come on, man, look at it and be proud of it.
Yeah,
And if that's what you want, then get what you want. If there's other thing what you want, you'll buy this later on if you get into this.
right,
And that's the thing
right,
about it.
right. And so even like that, so we try to hit faucet for every competition cook possibility any way they would want to go. So, and it's like everything. When you come out with number one or number two, you're gonna have some hiccups, and you're gonna work through them, and we work through them with customers, and um, like nothing epic fail by any means. I'm just saying like we want absolutely top. But the other big thing is, so like right now we're coming out with our patio mod, so our 26, 28, 30s, BFOs, all that stuff. So we're like quarter-inch inside, 3/8 door, 7 gauge cook chamber, blah 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 blah. And our patios are all like one step down, right? So they still
Yep.
cook. There's nothing to take away from them. They're just lighter. So like right now, like looking and listening, a lot of these guys are struggling because they have porch trailers, and when you put an outlaw on a porch trailer, you're adding 12, 13, depending on what model, 1,600 pounds. They they don't like it. The trailers don't like it. So it's one of those just stand back and observe type things. So we're making a 2460, right? So it's the patio model, but a 60-inch cook chamber because it well, for one, it's only gonna weigh like 150 more pounds. No, it's not even that. 110 more pounds than the patio model, but it's going to be the perfect like. So guys have porch models that want to cook on a stick burn, or they want to cook
Yep.
on an outlaw. And once again, I'm not taking anything away from the other Texas style pits. They're just different. Like the heat's from underneath, and you lose quite a bit of little space, and the hot fast thing kind of goes away. They make great barbecue. Don't get me wrong, but for the competition world, for guys not wanting to be up all night, wanting to do all these things, the Outlaw fits that mold. So the 2460 model will be light enough. You can pop it on any trailer, right? And it's not going to be like, you're cutting several hundred pounds. And it's also even people pulling in their enclosed trailer. It's so we have a power drive that's like a winch, a worn winch that drives one wheel. So like if you're just coming out of your enclosed trailer and coming over, it's perfect. You don't have to get your buddy. You can do it all yourself. But this 2460 is made out of evolution from listening and watching barbecue people. You know, um,
Yep.
so so a lot of guys, a few guys do a full KCBS on a patio. Some of them have to a lot of people add a drum because they want to, right? They are more comfortable with chicken or whatever on a drum. But there's also the people that don't necessarily want to manage two fires, but they don't feel comfortable trying to risk all that on a 43-inch cook chamber on our patio. So basically, we're coming out saying, here it is, 2460. You can easily cook, and that new pork rule just changed everything, right? To me, like in my mind, when
Yeah.
that came out, it was like, oh boy, now you can cook just collars, you can cook just money, your space that you needed just shrunk up dramatically. So that's the next thing we're coming out. And we built one a while back, and we're building 5 or 6 now. Just not necessarily for anybody, just because I think they'll be. It just makes sense. It just makes sense.
I mean, and that's the thing about it that goes back to the same time is you've taken information that you're getting feedback from, and you're basically using the engineering, the science of smoke, and design a product that's going to fit that need. That's going to be able to fill that void, for lack of a better word, because the weight is an issue. Because it's opinion, man. Opinion, Archimedes, is that what it was? Yeah, you put something way out there, 8 foot behind tires, and
Right.
it's going to weigh twice as much as it did on top of the tires. I mean, there's just the laws of physics.
It's the way it is. Yeah.
Um, if not, you're going to have issues with a trailer. I mean, I got a porch model trailer right now, and honestly, that's the reason why I'm running drums, is because the weight of bringing them in and out on my old trailer and this trailer and stuff.
Right.
So that's a need out there that you've seen, that you say going forward, okay, we can do this. it can equal this, and it's gonna give you this type of product, and you're like, all right, let's roll. And that's the
Right.
fact of the matter. That's what works.
Right. Yep. Yep. So we want to be the best stick burner with the most options. Like we want to be your stop, right? If you want a stick burner, I want to make sure we make something that makes sense for, first of all, competition world, right? Because
Right.
that's my passion, kind of. But if you cook competition, you sure as hell can cook in your backyard. So, uh, yeah, so that, it's just kind of one of those things we're always looking at. So right now, the new things coming out are the 2460, which I think give it every time we come out with something new, it takes a year, 2 years, right? Like to get, it just takes a while to get momentum and people to trust in it. Um, but it it'll cook. It'll be there. The other thing we're doing now is kind of like we're doing a different trailer model because like so we have the Renegade, which people buy because they want a little bit of space, like we Rooters and Tutors, Montana Outlaw, Chris Carden just bought one. That they're out there, but it's mostly guys that are pulling like either behind an RV or guys that just want to run and gun. So
Right.
we're making one a little wider. It's kind of the off-roadish type looking deal where you're going to have room on this. It's still going to be a smaller footprint, but you're going to have room to have your pit. So the pit will be mounted directly to it, so you'll cook off the pit. But we'll also have room for like your Cambro, your cooler. We'll have a big box for storage. Just kind of catering to everything that could possibly be needed. Because there comes those roads when it's like, man, we've we've kind of got a name and we've kind of into places, and you think about switching lanes a little bit, and it's like, man, let's just continue to be the best that we can at what we're doing, you
Right.
know. And that's kind of where we're at. We're just gonna stay right here. And a lot of other smokers, like I look at them, if I can't do something better, I'm not even gonna attempt it. Like, how do you improve on that? I don't know. You can't.
I mean, and again, you've got the quality of products that y'all are selling, the quality of products that y'all are building, the quality of products you have. I mean, the name you're making for yourself with that product, Outlaw Smokers. You tweak it for what fits you and what fits the customer's feedback, and that's what you're doing with your 2460 and your little run and gun. You calling it?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
the name of that model?
yeah. I think
Is
we're
it
gonna call
running
it the hideout. Actually,
hideout?
the hideout, outlaw hideout. Okay, kind of. We kind of keep the outlaw thing, and a gentleman that bought the first one. So, Jamie Roby, he's from Texas. So we've really got a good. All of a sudden, like Texas, we're taking off in Texas, kind of, which is exciting, because those guys are doing. But I've got to learn all that because they're doing the half chicken, they're doing all this different stuff, and I got to make sure what we're making like works for them too. But yeah, and it's fun. We're having fun with it. It's at the end of the day, it's just I love to go to work. I don't have a job. Like, figure out what you love to do, figure out how to make a buck at it. You don't work another day in your life. And that's the beauty of it. And thank God for the barbecue community because everybody feels like I don't care who you are, 99% of us rise together. So
Yeah.
like when you come out with something or you do something, you don't cook on an outlaw, but you're repping me. And I know if you're out there and people are
Right.
talking, you're like, I'd look at this one. And it's just the same way everywhere, whether it's Tim Shear or whether it's me or whether it's, you know, anybody building any kind of smoker or whatever, they got your back, they kind of listen to what you want and how you want to go about it. And they suggest something. And at the end of the day, what more could you ask for?
People recommend you because of quality and because of consistency, and because they know the product they're getting is what they want to do. It's the same reason people buy the Gateway smokers. That's the same
Yep.
way people buy some of the other smokers out there. It's because they know what they're getting every time is quality. And
Yep.
when you
Yep.
have that, you can't argue with it. That's a
Right.
fact.
Right. Yep. 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 There's a whole lot of passion in the barbecue world, and it it
It is
it all
that.
works out. And like I said, once again, we all rise together. We got there's not one rub, not one saw like whatever. It's just you believe in everybody, and we all kind of do it together. And that's what's really cool about the barbecue community. And people ask me all the time, like when people call and be like, "Hey, I want to order a pit. What do I got to do? How much you need down?" And I'm like, I would just really like to be paid when you pick it up. You know, you don't need any money down. Like, dude, if you're cooking barbecue, like of all the stuff we've done, I almost got stuck one time. That was it. Didn't get stuck. Had to ride the guy's butt a little bit, but people, they're just good people. You know, it's the
Oh,
barbecue world, and once again, that goes back to the original question you said. How do you get into barbecue? And I kind of said, well, I think we all enter this together. Like we do. You know, it's a community. It's a passion. It's you can't even put a word to it. You know, I don't know what the right word would be, but here we all are together, and we're good
it's
people.
friendship.
Eh,
It's just friendship.
friendship, fellowship, all those things all melted into one. You know, so you don't worry about. I don't worry about it. And if somebody like would happen to stick, which never happens, it's like I don't matter. Somebody else will buy it. You know, it'll be
Yep.
fine. Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing about not only having friends in barbecue, but also doing business in barbecue. You don't worry about that stuff. I don't worry about it, you know. And not
No, I
too
mean
many
you'll
not too many places can you do that.
no, I mean you'll meet you through barbecue and through even competition, the YouTube side of it, social media side of it. You'll meet the passionate and the best people you'll meet in your life.
Right.
Um, I mean, you'll meet people that you just want to scratch your head about sometimes. But I've said this before. I've never met nobody I don't like in barbecue. And I'm not
Right.
saying that through social media and everything else. Now, I've met people I don't want to hang around with all the time, but that don't mean I don't like them because we share a passion. And I
Right.
want them to do good. And the same information that Jay's got with his smokers, the whole goal of competition barbecue is to get new people into barbecue. That's the reason for this channel. I want to share a passion for barbecue. All
Yep.
right. There ain't
Yep.
no money to be made on this channel. I want to share a passion for barbecue. I want you to come out there and you learn things and you come out there and you be competitive because at the end of the day, I still want to beat you. But
Right.
if you turn in food that's going to kill my table, I can't beat you because I'm dead in the water because of that. I
Right.
want you to do good to turn in food because I want to beat you, but I want you to beat you and you trying to be competitive.
Yep.
Sounds
Yep.
crazy as hell, but it's the truth.
No, I'm following you, and I think most people listening are following you. You know, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm with you.
Uh,
That's the beauty of all this, you know, and it's like I said earlier, you know, you just stand back and listen, you know, and you watch what people are doing, and my God, there's so much knowledge out there, and so much, and everybody's just willing to share it, you know,
yep,
and that's the beauty. It's, it, yeah, it's an awesome business to be in.
it is that. It's crazy. Yeah, about a little over an hour here. I know you got some other stuff to do. So if people want to talk with you or buy a smoker or talk to you about smokers, how's the best way to get in touch with you?
So we're, you know, Facebook, we're online, whatever out. So we are outlawbarbecuesmokers.com on both internet, whatever, Facebook, Instagram. I think we're all the same. Uh, so yeah, just you could find us, reach out, and the biggest thing, like the first thing I'm gonna probably ask is what you're gonna do if you're a competition cook, how you travel, how you intend to travel. Like we just want to make sure we get you set up with something you're going to be happy with because yeah, the last thing we want you to do is buy a pit and switch or have to sell or change in 2 months or 6 months or whatever. But yeah, we're out there. If you do a little searching, you can find us.
All the information will be down in the description on YouTube below. So you can basically have links and stuff here. We'll make sure we have that edited correctly in there. So if you want to find information, you go in our description and find that and go on Facebook and do the same thing with that. But check him out. Seriously, talk to them. They've got great products. I'm not saying this to say it. They have one of the best quality pits on the market out there. And I'm being honest with that. I've seen too many of them. I've built too many smokers to tell you right now what he's doing is top notch, and you can't beat that. And that's something you really truly need to look into.
Thank you, Jason.
But yeah, all that being said, appreciate y'all watching here. Follow us, like us, share this video. Go to YouTube Music and go to Barbecue Roundtable. You can watch this after hours. We can go to our our title playlist and see some old episodes on there. But check it out. Let us know. Again, if you want to collaborate, you want to do some new stuff in the future, reach out to me. Appreciate y'all watching. See you next time.